I've been looking for some DC comics to read that isn't just the usual, the Green Lantern, Batman, Superman, Flash. I wanted to try something different. So I was looking through a couple different lists to see what outside of just the bigger titles is out there. And I had seen this one on a couple of them, Justice League Dark. This was one that I picked up from the very first issue, which is from last year at this point. I think they're up to issue 11 or 12 by now. I'm not exactly sure. I think issue 11, if I'm not mistaken. So this has been out for almost a year now. So I know I'm late getting to it, but the thing is, whenever I try starting a series, I always want to go from the very beginning. I don't just like jumping in midway through, especially if the first issue is pretty readily available, which this one was. This was actually still on the store shelf at the local comic book shop. So I don't know if that's a good thing or if that's a bad thing just yet, because I would think that's a bad thing if it's still on the main store shelf to be able to get it cover price, because you know that comic book shops, when you buy comics, if you get back issues, usually back issues will cost you more, either like 50 cents more or $1 more, because they put them in the long boxes and you have to fish them out of there. But this one didn't have to do that. It was still on the shelf. So, but they're up to issue 11, so it makes you think, well, it must be doing well, right? I mean, it's almost been out for a year. But let me just go ahead and just tell you what I think of it. So it starts off with Zatanna doing a magic show, doing the good old bunny rabbit out of the hat trick, but the bunny rabbit's dead. And it's because magic has gone crazy. And Wonder Woman comes to save the day. Of course, Zatanna being a magician, she tries to stop it, but nothing happens. So Wonder Woman has to show up, save the day. And Wonder Woman then kind of fills her in that, hey, look, magic's going crazy in the world. And she's trying to get people, magic wielders specifically, to come together to really try to bring balance back and really get magic back in check. And Zatanna refuses initially, but she does still kind of hear Wonder Woman out, but she's not really on board just yet to join any kind of team. So it's interesting because nobody's really chomping at the bit to join this new kind of Justice League that Wonder Woman is forming for magic wielders. And the only one that seems to be kind of receptive to it is Detective Chimp, which is fine. But that's one of the interesting things about this book, is that it's a team comprised of a couple known heroes and some lesser known, second and third string characters that people probably wouldn't care all that much about unless they've been really long time comic readers and are loyal to these particular characters. But one thing I will say that I have to mention right off the bat is this is a very wordy book. I mean, there's a lot of talking in this. I mean, look at just these 2 pages here. Pow, and then there's more. Pow, just a bunch of talking in it. Which I get why they're doing it, but I'm really hoping. See, I don't know who this writer is. I don't know anybody who's working on this book. The gentleman's name is like Tynion the Fourth. Hold on, let me go back to the beginning so I can see his name. James Tynion the Fourth. Never read any of his work before, so I don't know if that's just something that's a habit of his, that he just is. He just loves a lot of dialogue in his books. But that's one thing that made it a little bit of a drag to read. And I'm hoping that's something that if I am interested and I want to know more about what's going to happen with this series, because I see the potential in it. With magic, there's a lot you can do with it. There's a lot of stories you can make around that, a lot of fantasy scenarios that you can make up with that. But if they're all just this wordy, I'm not sure that I can get down with that. It's just a little bit too much talking and not as much going on as I feel that there should be. But like I was mentioning before, the team seems to be, or is going to be, comprised of Swamp Thing, Zatanna, Wonder Woman, Detective Chimp, and Man-Bat, which is I think that's kind of an interesting team to put together. And it'll be interesting to see how they flesh out characters that probably most people wouldn't think about, like Man Bat and Detective Chimp, and see what role they play in this. And it's always cool to see Swamp Thing in something. So this book is one that I do want to see what's going to happen next. I just hope that there's just not as much dialogue in future chapters of this, because again, the potential for it is here, I think. But if this is one you guys have read, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Yeah, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. Just be sure to comment, like, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. All right, later, y'all.